Beneath the indigo sky of a terraformed planet, Admiral Celia Vance stood before a constellation of the galaxy's elite, her heart a battlefield of hope and apprehension. She could feel every eye upon her, their gazes as piercing as the starlight that bathed the demonstration arena in a ghostly glow. Today, she would unveil humanity's beacon of peace or its harbinger of isolation, the Harmony Drive. The testing ground was a stark landscape, molded from the barren planet's surface into an arena of monumental scale. Surrounding the central platform, where Celia stood, were tiers upon tiers of seats filled with representatives from myriad worlds, each with their own fears, agendas, and curiosity. The air vibrated with a tense silence, punctuated only by the distant hum of the machinery that awaited activation. As the demonstration commenced, robotic figures emerged from beneath the ground, their movements sharp and menacing. Designed to mimic enemy combatants, these machines advanced, weapons raised, embodying the threat of war that had plagued galaxies for centuries. Celia's finger hovered over the single button that would either prove her life's work a success or a catastrophic error. "Behold, the future of conflict resolution," Celia announced, her voice resolute yet tinged with an undercurrent of nerves. She pressed the button. Instantly, the arena was suffused with a soft, pulsating light emanating from the Harmony Drive. The aggressive robots halted mid-stride, their weapons clattering to the ground as if their very essence of conflict was drained away. In place of aggression, the robots paired off, assisting each other in simulated rescue tasks, repairing damages, aiding fallen comrades. The crowd's reaction was a mosaic of awe and fear. Whispers cascaded through the tiers, a storm surge following the shock of calm. Senator Thrix, a towering figure with skin like molten silver and eyes that gleamed with a strategic coldness, stood. His voice boomed across the arena, laced with both admiration and accusation. "Admiral Vance, you wield a tool that could end wars or enforce tyranny. How do you intend to control such power?" Celia met his gaze, feeling the weight of history press upon her shoulders. "By offering it to all, under the watchful eyes of the Galactic Senate, not as a weapon, but as a guardian of peace." In the opulent chambers of the Galactic Senate on Xenera, the air was thick with anticipation and anxiety. Vast, arched windows framed the bustling metropolis below, where myriad species from across the galaxy mingled in a dance of commerce and diplomacy. Above, the Senate chamber, a colossal dome adorned with frescoes depicting historical treaties and battles, echoed with the voices of its members, each representing a fragment of the galactic community. Senator Thrix stood at the center of the grand hall, his figure casting a long shadow over the polished stone floor. His voice, when he spoke, carried the gravity of centuries of political cunning. "Fellow senators, while the Harmony Drive promises a new era, it also poses a stark threat. A tool that can disarm with such ease could also coerce, manipulate, and control. We must consider the ramifications of allowing one species to wield such power." Around him, murmurs of agreement blended with those of dissent. The human delegation, led by Admiral Celia Vance, listened intently, their expressions a mix of resolve and concern. Celia knew the stakes were high. The Harmony Drive was her life's work, envisioned to end warfare, not to dominate the Senate or the galaxy. As the debates raged on, reports of increased pirate attacks began to filter in, projected onto the central holographic display. Pirate fleets, emboldened by the political distraction and perhaps fearful of becoming obsolete in a galaxy governed by the Harmony Drive, had launched raids on vulnerable border regions. The images showed burning colonies and fleets of refugees, urgent reminders of the galaxy's not-so-distant violent tendencies. Celia took the floor, her presence commanding silence. "Esteemed members of the Senate, while we debate the potential dangers of the Harmony Drive, let us not forget the immediate threats our people face daily. This technology was developed not to govern but to protect, to end the cycle of aggression that benefits only those who profit from conflict." Her plea was met with a complex tapestry of reactions. Some delegates nodded in understanding, moved by the immediacy of her words. Others, like Senator Thrix, remained skeptical, their concerns about power imbalances unassuaged. In the shadowed corridors outside the Senate Hall, Cilia met privately with her daughter Juno, who had arrived from Earth to support the cause. Their reunion was tense but necessary. Juno, with her deep commitment to peace activism, had reservations about military solutions to conflict. "Mom, you're trying to end war with a weapon. How can you be sure it won't be misused?" Cilia sighed, the weight of her daughter's doubts mirroring her internal fears. "I'm not sure. But I believe that creating a tool for peace, under the oversight of the Galactic Senate, is a step toward a future where your activism and my technology can coexist." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message. Another colony had been attacked, this time with significant casualties. The news hardened Cilia's resolve and fueled Juno's skepticism, setting the stage for their collaborative effort to sway both public and political opinion. The night sky over Earth was a tapestry of stars, each one a silent observer to the struggles below. Admiral Cilia Vance and her daughter Juno stood on the balcony of their family home, overlooking the sprawling lights of the city. The Earth seemed peaceful from this distance, but both knew the turbulence that lay just beneath the surface. Cilia, her gaze fixed on the distant constellations, broke the silence. "I spent my life in the stars, Juno, fighting wars that seemed endless. The Harmony Drive. It's my chance to change that, to end conflict on a scale we've never seen before." Her voice was a mix of hope and fear, reflecting the enormity of her ambitions. Juno, her arms wrapped tightly around herself against the chill of the night, looked up at her mother. "And what if it becomes a tool for control? Power corrupts, Mom. Even the best intentions can lead to unintended consequences." Her activism had always driven her to question authority, especially when it came dressed in the guise of salvation. Cilia turned to face her daughter, her expression softening. "That's why I need you. You challenge me, make me consider the ethical dimensions I might overlook." It was a concession Juno hadn't expected, and it drew her closer to her mother's cause. Inside, they prepared for a holographic presentation to the galactic community, aiming to demonstrate the Harmony Drive's potential for peace. The lounge was transformed into a makeshift studio, with technical equipment and holographic projectors set up around the room. Cilia's team, a diverse group of scientists and strategists, worked alongside Juno's peace activists, creating a coalition as unique as their mission. As they rehearsed, news of another pirate attack came through, this time on a medical convoy in the border regions. The urgency of the situation lent a new gravity to their preparations. Cilia paused the rehearsal, her strategist instincts kicking in. "This is our moment to show the Senate and the galaxy what the Harmony Drive can really do. We'll turn this pirate siege into a rescue operation." Juno's initial hesitation gave way to resolve as she saw the potential to save lives firsthand. Together, they tweaked the presentation, incorporating live feeds from the convoy rescue operation into their simulation. The day of the presentation arrived, and the lounge was filled with virtual representatives from across the galaxy, their holographic forms flickering slightly as they settled into view. Cilia took the lead, her voice steady and clear. "Today, we're not just talking about potential. We're showing you real-time application. Watch as we transform a crisis into an opportunity for peace." On the screen behind her, the Harmony Drive was activated remotely at the site of the pirate attack. Instead of firing on the pirates, the device emitted a broad-spectrum pulse that disarmed their weapons and shut down their aggressive impulses. The pirates, suddenly docile, were taken aback, their hostility replaced by confusion. Juno then stepped forward, her part of the presentation focusing on the humanitarian efforts that followed. With the pirates neutralized, our rescue teams were able to provide medical aid to both the convoy and the pirates. This isn't just about disarming, it's about healing. The demonstration was a success, sparking a wave of cautious optimism among the audience. Doubts lingered, but the tangible results were difficult to dispute. The grandeur of the Ceneran Diplomatic Gala was a sight to behold, with luminous arrays of bioluminescent decorations casting an ethereal glow over the attendees. The Grand Hall, resplendent with its soaring arches and intricate mosaics of interstellar history, buzzed with the mingled dialects of countless species. Admiral Celia Vance, clad in a uniform that bore the subtle insignia of peace, navigated the throngs with practiced ease, her daughter Juno at her side. Amidst the swirl of diplomatic niceties, Celia's senses remained sharply attuned to undercurrents of tension. Her recent demonstration of the Harmony Drive had shifted the galactic narrative, but it had also intensified the fears of those who saw their power threatened by this new equilibrium. Senator Thrix, a looming figure clad in the traditional flowing robes of his people, approached with a diplomatic smile that barely masked his skepticism. "Admiral Vance, your little exhibition has certainly stirred the pot. Let us hope it does not boil over and scald us all," he remarked, his tone a mixture of jest and warning. The evening progressed with a veneer of celebration, but the underpinnings of conspiracy were never far from Celia's mind. It was during a quiet moment, as the crowd's attention was captured by a troupe of aerial performers, that the threat materialized. A sudden disturbance at the far end of the hall, a commotion near the grand fountain, drew their attention. An assailant had breached the security perimeter, his target unclear until his trajectory converged ominously on Celia. Reacting with the reflexes honed in less ceremonial battles, Celia and Juno ducked as security forces intercepted the attacker. The would-be assassin was quickly subdued, but the incident shattered the evening's peace. In the chaotic aftermath, Celia's thoughts raced, not just about who might want her harmed, but why now, when she was so close to achieving a broader acceptance of her life's work. The investigation into the attack was swift and revealing. It uncovered not just a lone extremist, but a network within the Senate itself, comprised of members who stood to lose their influence and profit from perpetual conflict. The mastermind was a lesser-known senator who had been sowing seeds of dissent against the Harmony Drive, exploiting fears of human dominance to mask deeper economic entanglements with the arms trade. With Juno's assistance, Celia presented the findings to the Senate in an emergency session. The evidence was irrefutable, laid bare for all to see, casting a stark light on the depths of corruption that had taken root in the galaxy's most sacred institution. The revelation served as a catalyst, turning the tide of opinion among many who had been swayed by the conspirators' rhetoric. "Senators," Celia addressed the assembly, her voice resonant and commanding. "This attack was not just an assault on my life, but on the possibility of peace. We cannot let fear and corruption hold sway over our decisions. The Harmony Drive is a tool for change, but only if we are brave enough to wield it justly." The session ended with calls for reforms and stricter oversight, not just of the Harmony Drive, but of the Senate's own operations. Senator Thrix, moved by the revelations and Celia's unwavering resolve, extended an offer to collaborate on ensuring the drive's integration was handled with transparency and fairness. In the newly appointed chamber of the Galactic Senate, where transparent alloy panels provided a panoramic view of Cenara's bustling capital, Admiral Celia Vance prepared for what could be the defining moment of her career. The chamber buzzed with the low murmur of delegates from countless worlds, their voices a symphony of the galaxy's diversity. Today, they would vote on the future of the Harmony Drive, and by extension, the future of peace in the galaxy. Senator Thrix stood beside Celia, his previous doubts tempered by the recent exposure of corruption within the Senate. His transformation from skeptic to ally was emblematic of the broader shift in sentiment among the senators, many of whom had been swayed by the integrity Celia had displayed. "Admiral," he murmured as they approached the podium, "your courage has turned foes into allies. Let us hope it can also turn fear into trust." Celia adjusted the microphone, her gaze sweeping over the assembly. She began her speech not with the grandeur of victory, but with the quiet confidence of truth. "Esteemed delegates, we stand at the precipice of a new era. The Harmony Drive was born from a vision of a galaxy where the tools of war are obsolete, where conflicts are resolved not on battlefields, but across negotiation tables. She paused, allowing her words to resonate. Behind her, the giant screen displayed images of the recent rescue operations, where the Harmony Drive had transformed potential bloodshed into opportunities for aid and reconciliation. Here is the proof of our potential, not just to disarm, but to heal. As Celia spoke, Juno and her team of peace activists broadcasted the speech across multiple media platforms, ensuring that every corner of the galaxy could witness this pivotal moment. Juno watched from the gallery, her heart swelling with pride and hope, her earlier doubts washed away by the tangible results of her mother's work. The speech concluded with a powerful appeal to the shared dreams of all sentient beings. Let us choose a path forward together, one where fear does not dictate our futures. Let this technology be our legacy of peace, guarded by all, for all. The vote that followed was tense, with each delegate casting their vote under the weight of history. The results were displayed in real time on the overhead screens, a tally that ticked ever closer to a majority. Finally, with a decisive click, the last vote was cast, and the screen flashed the outcome. The motion to integrate the Harmony Drive under a new multi-species oversight committee was approved. The chamber erupted in applause, a sound that was echoed in public squares and living rooms across the galaxy. Senator Thrix shook Celia's hand, a gesture of respect and commitment. Admiral Vance, we will work together to ensure this tool serves its true purpose. You have my word. The celebrations were muted by the awareness of the work still ahead. The implementation of the Harmony Drive would be a colossal task, fraught with technical and ethical challenges. But for the first time in many cycles, there was a consensus on a path forward. As the chapter closed, Celia and Juno joined the other delegates at a reception, their conversation no longer about if peace was possible, but about how to build it. They discussed plans for the new Oversight Committee and strategies for deploying the Harmony Drive in conflict zones. Celia looked out at the city below, its lights a mirror of the stars above. She felt a profound connection to the galaxy and its inhabitants, united now by a common hope. Her journey had transformed from a solitary quest into a collective venture, a shared dream of a peaceful universe. The dawn on Cenera cast a soft, golden glow over the Galactic Senate, the early light reflecting off the crystalline structures of the Capitol and bathing the city in a warm embrace. In the aftermath of the historic vote, Admiral Celia Vance stood on the terrace of the Senate building, overlooking the serene cityscape. Beside her, Juno sipped a steaming cup of local herbal brew, the steam curling into the cool morning air. Today begins the real work, Celia remarked, her eyes tracing the skyline. Implementing the Harmony Drive across contested zones will test our resolve and our ability to truly stand united. Juno nodded, her thoughts aligning with her mother's. It's more than just deploying technology, isn't it? It's about nurturing trust, rebuilding communities, and healing. Her activism had always driven her to see beyond immediate solutions to the deeper systemic changes needed for lasting peace. The newly formed Oversight Committee convened for its inaugural meeting later that day. Representatives from various species and planets gathered, each member bringing their own perspectives and experiences to the table. Celia, appointed as the committee's chair, led the session with a focus on transparency and collaboration. Our first objective is to establish protocols for the Harmony Drive's deployment, Celia announced, addressing the committee. We need to ensure that it is used ethically, with oversight that includes not just military and political figures, but also voices from humanitarian and civilian sectors. The discussion was intense and productive, with debates centering around the safe zones for initial deployment and the training of operators who would handle the technology. The committee agreed to pilot the project in a region recently ravaged by civil unrest, where the need for a new approach to conflict resolution was most acute. As preparations for the pilot project advanced, Juno organized a series of community outreach programs. These were designed to educate the affected populations about the Harmony Drive and involve them in the peace process. It's essential that the people most impacted by this technology have a say in how it's used. Juno explained during a community forum, her words translated into various languages for the diverse audience. Back on Earth, the news of the Harmony Drive's impending deployment sparked a wave of optimism. Educational broadcasts and public discussions filled the media, fostering a global conversation about the future of peace and the role of technology in achieving it. The day the Harmony Drive was first activated in a conflict zone was a momentous one. The device successfully diffused a potentially violent confrontation between rival factions, its pulses of calming energy subduing aggression and opening the door for dialogue. The success was broadcast live, a tangible demonstration of the committee's efforts and the drive's potential. As the chapter and the story drew to a close, Celia and Juno watched the broadcast together, surrounded by fellow committee members and activists. The atmosphere was one of cautious celebration, tempered by the knowledge of the long road ahead. "We've taken the first steps towards something incredible," Celia reflected, her voice imbued with a mixture of pride and determination. "But this is just the beginning. True peace is a journey, not a destination." Juno reached out, squeezing her mother's hand. "And we'll walk it together," she affirmed, her gaze steady on the horizon, where the first light of dawn promised a new era.